You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Coogs, the podcast about your Houston Cougars. I'm your host, Houston-born teacher and coach Parker Ainsworth, here breaking all things Cougs after Houston knocks off TCU 65-46 in their third game of Big 12 play. We want to join the conversation, but you don't know what to say. Tell us in the comments down below what your reaction to the beatdown was. It was a roller coaster of sorts. Got a lot to get into in this one. I also want to talk about the idea of a statement being made in the last 48 hours by the Houston Cougars. But I got to react to this Houston Cougar basketball team as we get through this, because truthfully, they did a great job in this one of riding the wave, finding the hot hand, and doing a bunch of things very, very well. And I feel like, so they opened up hot. They had a hot streak at the about 10-minute mark, and they had a hot streak again early in the second half, then late in the second half. They kind of went up and down with those waves. And they consistently trusted what they were doing, and shot creation, the shots and looks were always the same across those up and down kind of moments for Houston. They trusted what they were producing on offense, and the shots were going to fall at some point. I think that's the mark of a very veteran team. We talked throughout the season. This is a veteran-laden Houston Cougar men's basketball program. You returned 7 of your 8-man from last year. Really, technically, you'd even argue 8 of your 9-man from last year. You pull in Mylik, who started for 2 years at Oklahoma in the Big 12. You feel pretty good about what you got going on. I think what I liked most about this win, I'm just thinking things I'm going to remember from this Houston and TCU game down the line, is that it was another example to me of Houston just finding the guy whose night it was. Over the weekend, we talked some about the BYU game, and admittedly it was a quick turnaround for TCU, so we get to talk about it a whole lot. But the guy, so to speak, was Javier Francis, right? He had his best game of the year from my account. Or at least I would have called the BYU game his best game of the year. And they let him play a lot. He played nearly 28 minutes, something like that. He played a lot more in that one. Then tonight, as Houston knocks off TCU, the hot hand of sorts was Mylik Wilson. He'd be getting 6, 8, 9.9 minutes a game. He got 18 in this one. And really, his 9 points and 5 rebounds don't quite tell the full impact that the guy had on this game. He was pushing the pace, running the floor. I thought it was Malik's best game of the season. And Mylik has had some moments where he looked really good, but from start to finish, has 18 minutes on the floor, really, really impactful in this one. 18 minutes on the floor, really, really impactful in this one. Couple different diving, loose ball pokes, couple very, he had 5 rebounds, but several of them were very importantly timed. Great defense. Even the one time TC, I can't remember who it was on the horn from. It was Reynolds, had a fall away 2 over the top of his hands at the end of the shot clock. Not the one that got called back. There's another one, and he managed to still and that's a great defensive possession. Even the guy makes it sometimes, right? He really, really did a great job impacting this basketball game. I also think that Emanuel Sharp has been hot in both games. They found ways to find Emanuel Sharp. He was 4 of 7 behind the arc tonight, and he obviously had the 4 of 8 over the weekend. LJ Cryer was not. LJ Cryer, we found out during the game, has a stomach bug thing going, so he's been a little under the weather. And he played 25 minutes, went 2 of 5 behind the arc, and shot 4 of 9 from the field. But Houston just went to a different guy, and they just kind of pick up the deal and find the next person each and every time with this one. It's been really, really interesting to watch them grow in that way. It's not like last year where when the going got tough, it was pass the ball to Jamal Shed and let's see what happens. They don't quite have that backpack kind of guy, but they really are doing a great job this year finding, okay, who's going to be our guy tonight, right? I think they wanted to be Juwan Roberts as he closed in on 1,000 points as a Houston Cougar and those kind of things. I also think that, frankly, they thought if he could get Udare someone in foul trouble, you might have a little bit of a benefit there as well. I feel like, well, as we get through the reaction comment, I want to go here and see what some folks are saying. Again, live show, post-game. Tell us in the comments down below what you're thinking. Nate Jordan asks, what is a horned frog? I guess I've always looked at the mascot and that was a horny toad. I don't know. If you were to prepare a horned frog with a barbecue method, what dish would you make? Oh, there's probably some folks in the bayou that would like think of like different like gatory kind of reptilian type of stuff. I think it's probably rubbery, and I would need some sauce lathered on that one. I'm not a big sauceman brisket guy. I probably need it. Rusty Tenton brings it back to basketball. Great win. That Reynolds is a hell of a player. I was impressed by TCU in this one, and I mentioned on Twitter, and I still call it Twitter, but I mentioned on Twitter, this team to me is the kind of team TCU is that is going to beat someone later in the year that they like air quotes shouldn't have, right? A lot of new guys, the guys in the telecast, if you're watching it in person there, telecast mentioned, I think it was for Franchilla, anyway, that they only returned 7% of the minutes they had from last year, an entirely new roster, and not just the NBA. I mean, like Micah Peavy's at Georgetown, stuff like that, right? Like, they returned very few guys and had a lot of new bodies, a lot of freshmen. David Punch is a freshman, Micah Robinson's a freshman, Jace Posey's a freshman. I think the Manning kid's also a freshman. And with all of that, right, there takes a lot of gel time. Then you get to the Big 12 gauntlet and all of that. I mean, Houston catches them pretty early in this, obviously. I feel like they're going to knock off a BYU, a Kansas, and Arizona, somebody later in the season that they maybe, again, air quotes, shouldn't. Cincinnati's good this year. Maybe it's a Cincinnati team or something. I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but they're going to be gelling at the right time, catch someone in this conference on these like tough 2-day turnaround kind of things and really surprise some people. They're a good basketball team, got some talent to them. Just nothing, no match for the Cougs. I want to sit on Blake's comment here. Blake commented that Uzan looks way better defensively, and Sharp is continuing to prove my belief in him as our go-to guy in those late clock one-on-one situations. He was the reason for us playing away in this game. Ben DeBose, who is a Rockets guy on Twitter, he commented that it looked like Steph Curry kind of stuff. And I think what people are getting used to with Emanuel is they're used to whether it was Shed driving the basket, even Sasser would drive to the, his little floater, mid-rangey kind of stuff, his like sidesteps, whatever. When you're like killer guy, your go-to guy in those moments and all of those kinds of things is a catch-and-shoot guy like Emanuel is so good at doing, it doesn't look the same. And I think there's like an aesthetic there that's hard to get past. And Dies says, "Go Coogs" here. Agreed, Dies. I do think that I think that takes some getting used to. But Emanuel, I think, has the attitude for a shooter to be that guy. And he's not just a shooter. I think he's uses his frame well. I do think he drove to the basket better a year ago than he does now. But he's shooting like 50%, give or take 2 percentage points on the given day on the year from three, and I those are worth more points. And so I think that's the way that goes. And then Blake's earlier point about Milos, before I get off that comment too far, Milos has grown up so much, and Kelvin said it was going to happen, and Kellen said it was going to happen, and Quanis said it was going to happen. They went out and picked Milos Uzan as far as finding a transfer point guard to come in and play this role for Jamal Shed, and after Jamal Shed left, obviously. And Milos, you can't replace Jamal. Jamal's jersey is going to be up in the rafters, right? He has learned so quickly, adapted so quickly, right? And frankly, part of the concern was, can he stay on the floor, right? In Auburn, he fouls out and stuff like that. Like, what's Alabama, he fouls out. Like, what's he going to do when these tough games, he's got to play all 40 minutes or whatever? I liked his selection of when to be aggressive in this one. I also, admittedly, it was a 19-point win, so it wasn't like they needed him in those clutch moments to be aggressive, so we're still waiting on that one. I think those games are coming in the Big 12 Conference. They're probably road games for Houston later down the line here. But, 4 of 6, he had a 3 to open the game. And he had his 9 points, 3 steals, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, just kind of checking off a bunch of boxes. Again, they picked this guy because of how well-rounded his game in it is and how it fits in with this team. And frankly, like I talked about the start of my reaction bit here, like as a team that continues to find different guys that do things. Again, everyone it can be any person's night. It's got to figure out whose night it is. Having a guy that can kind of check a bunch of boxes while you're finding that score, Sharp, Cryer, JoJo, whoever it is, that's an important thing. You got to have someone who checks a bunch of boxes there as far as filling up a stat sheet goes, because you're going to need those rebounds, you're going to need those steals, you're going to need this whatever. I thought there was one moment in the lane tonight, he jumped a pass and hit him in the belly button. He just he jumped the passing lane. It was like he threw the ball. The TCU guy threw the ball to Milos for a dunk or something. He just catch the ball. And he just took off. That was when he went down and threw a lob to Terrence. Ball. I didn't get throw, but I really like how the guys come along, and I don't think I was the most critical of him at the start of the year, but I think everyone was fairly critical of how is this guy going to fit in and he can stay out of foul trouble. And he continues to grow through those criticisms and on to the next thing. I want to keep reacting to this one, talk about that roller coaster and if that's something we need to worry about or not. I don't worry as much as some people do, but we'll talk about that in a second. But before we get to that, tonight's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time's best place to get last night's lowest price guaranteed. I will say fully, openly, I use Game Time to get some different Christmas presents for the folks that needed tickets to games and attending the new 12-team playoff. You're going to drive up to DFW or they're playing the Cotton Bowl or whatever. It's an incredible experience that brings fans together like never before. And this is the chance to use Game Time to get tickets to those kinds of events, whether it's Houston Cougars, the Rockets are pretty good these days, the Texans playoff game, whatever the case may be. Game Time's a new feature called Game Time Picks. Make getting tickets easy. Already was easy, makes it even easier, I should say. It filters out of the fluff and shows you just the incredible deals. That was algorithms show you the best deals and value and best options for you on their app. Again, I just got my tickets for people for Christmas and holidays, made a great gift. But if you want them for yourself, highly recommend going to Game Time, download the Game Time app today. Browsing the deals was a breeze. Best value is a great deal there. You can do all-in pricing, no surprises. Also, you can check out the one-time ticket delivery for lowest price guarantee. It's complete peace of mind as you do it. To take the guesswork out of buying tickets, Game Time, download the Game Time app today. Create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your purchase. Terms will again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download again today. Let's spend the lowest price guaranteed.